What happens when the algorithm changes overnight and your digital content just poofs out of existence? The answer might be simpler than you think, and it starts with you taking over your digital landscape. So, on this episode of the Independent Creator Podcast, that's what we're going to talk about is basically reclaiming your space. What I mean by that is your digital landscape, how you basically present yourself to your audience, to the world, as it were. And most of the time, people do that by posting on, say, Facebook or Instagram or Blue Sky, Twitter, wherever you think you can post your content, and it lives there forever, right? Wrong, because what happens is that you're posting to a place that is not your own. And what I mean by that is that you don't control what happens to your content once you hit send or enter or okay. It basically lives on a rented or leased space that you have no absolute control over. It is the whims of a large corporation or a billionaire that can really care less what happens to your content or to you at all. So what we're going to actually look into is finding a way to get yourself onto a place that you can control. And what I mean by that is maybe either through a forum community, a blog site, or any place that you can think of that you can control, that you have absolute control over, which means that you own an infrastructure or you have purchased a VPS, which is a virtual private server somewhere, and you install software to get your content, your word out to these other places. So let's actually take a look at one of the things that I'm talking about here is where you don't have the control over, where you think that, oh, I'm posting a blog, let's say on Substack, that I can control, right? Well, the thing is that with Substack is that when you look at it at the URL, it's substack.com slash whatever name that you set your account up with. The issue with that is that when people think of, oh, I'm going to podcast XYZ, well, they're looking at it, so, oh, it's on Substack. They're not thinking, oh, I'm going to podcast XYZ's website.com. No, they're going to substack.com. So already you're at a disadvantage when the people are associating you or your content with, let's say, Substack. That you see is that the mind share of what people would think of your digital space lives on Substack. Now, I'm not saying that Substack or Medium or any place that you can think of, Patreon, is, not a good place. No, what I'm saying is that it's a place that you don't have control over. It's like I said, it's not podcastxyz.com. It's not your home. It's just an apartment. Let's just look at it that way. It's an apartment that you're renting month to month, or you got a 6-month lease on. And people don't say, oh, we're going to your house. No, you're going to your apartment. And say in 6 months, well, the management company of that apartment says, yeah, we're kicking you out because we're actually going to be turning all these apartments into condos and find another place to live. Sorry. It's like I said, it's the mind share of when people think of your digital home. In the case of like Patreon, it's patreon.com slash whatever your name is. It's not there. People are not looking at, again, like I said, not your house. It's just an apartment. I know I'm saying the same thing over and over because I know a lot of people get caught up and say, well, it's free. It's a place. I don't have to pay for server costs. I don't have to pay for someone to take over and do the admin side of things. And I understand that. And I get it. Believe me, I do. It's just, take care of your digital space because that's pretty much all you really do. All you really have. is your digital space. Your name is who you are as a brand, as a content creator, as a podcaster, an artist, an author, whatever is your name. And you really should take aspects or take better care of sending to people that you want to get in contact with and say, or reach out to potential viewers or clients or anything like that, that, hey, you can find me at my website that I own. And it's kind of like, it's, it gives a more professional, a professional appearance to things. Because let's take it a little step further back in time, shall we? Back in the day, is all we really had was websites and email. We didn't have any social networks or anything like that. I'm talking like the days before Facebook or even MySpace, where people setting up an account on AOL.com with your name here at AOL.com. Fast forward, or even like say even gmail.com. Fast forward a decade, 10 years. When you look at someone's business card and they hand it to you and you see their email is their name at AOL.com, what actually goes into your mind is that either this person is really, really old, they're part of the boomer generation, or, you know, they are stuck on AOL, or they're probably still paying for AOL when you shouldn't be. But anyways, the thing is that it's not a professional look when you have an AOL.com or a gmail.com email address on your business cards, or when you're trying to portray or promote your business and say, hey, I do, I, I'm a fisherman. I go out and catch crab. You can email me at fisherman at AOL.com. And they're not really going to take you serious because you don't have an ownership of your brand. You don't have ownership of your brand awareness with everybody else. Well, the same thing can apply to your blog or to a website. Say with like Substack. Yes, I understand with Substack that gives you, especially for bloggers and people who are setting things up on that particular website, is that it doesn't give you it, let me backtrack. It gives you a space. It's kind of like a social network for blogs. Yes, it gives you a place to help advertise your content. But at what cost? Is it, yes, it's free, but you don't really own your home. I understand some people will say, well, Substack gives you all of this stuff, all of this distribution network to help get your site seen by many other people or many other readers or viewers or listeners, because they do offer a podcast hosting part of it as well. And they're starting to get into the short form video content as well, because, everybody's got to do that. So the thing is, at what cost to your brand is it going to affect that when people think of your blog, the first thing they're going to say is, oh yeah, I read your blog post on Substack. They're not going to say, oh yeah, I read your blog post on your website. So it's something, it's like kind of like a catch-22. Yes, for many people, I mean, there, how many thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of users on Substack are happy with this. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. I'm not here to say using one platform over creating your own website is something that should be ashamed of. It's something that you should actually take care if you're very serious in your brand, in creating content for your brand. Because like I said, most people are just going to associate you with whatever platform you're on. And they're not going to say, oh yeah, I saw your website or your video is on YouTube. I know some things are probably not going to be, how should I say this? Especially for like video content creators, it's like you either are on YouTube or you host it yourself through PeerTube or Vimeo. There really isn't any other way cheaply or low cost, I should say, because in that aspect, video is expensive to host. It is one of those things that perhaps my entire argument that I have just totally just get rid of. And yes, set yourself on YouTube or PeerTube, or if you're in like a filmmaker like through Vimeo, because Vimeo is more geared towards the filmmaker side of things, or companies looking for a place to store their videos, their tutorials, their classes and stuff like that. So in that case, having your stuff sitting on, let's say, for example, YouTube, that's an exception. Because again, it's, believe me when I say video hosting is very expensive. If you don't have a infrastructure set up for video hosting, you're looking at thousands of dollars per month if you have a large following. Or if you have one or two videos go viral and you got several million video or several million views on these particular videos, your server cost is going to go right through that roof. And like I said, using Substack and Medium in that case is probably a good idea if you are in a position that you're just starting out. You're just starting out your content creation and you're looking for a place and you don't have the technical know-how to create the websites or a blog post or anything like that. And looking at Medium, their information that they have here is great for, again, I want to preface this the entire episode. I'm not knocking these platforms or the people who use them and are very successful on these platforms. I'm just giving an insight to what I believe and many other people believe is that if you want to build your brand, going this route is probably not the best, but we're just looking at these examples that are perfectly in line for people who are starting out wanting to create something, like I said, and don't have the technical know-how of self-hosting a ghost blog site or newsletter site and or any other like a write freely or anything like that. They don't have the technical know-how to set up a server, install these software in Docker containers, and you're probably, if you're listening and saying, I have no idea what you mean, Docker, what does that mean? So again, I like to preface what I've said and saying is that I don't say these things to demean, but it's just looking at Medium is that you're kind of locked into this ecosystem. So like with Medium here, we're looking at like their membership plans. So $5 a month or $60 a year is a Medium member. You get read member only stories, support writers you read most, earn money for your writing, listen to audio narrations, read offline with the app, access our Mastodon community, and connect your custom domain and create your own publications. Now, that is a good thing because for $5 a month, you're looking at, you can connect your custom domains. What I just said pretty much just flies out the window because it's associating your brand, your domain name with this platform. But people are coming to your domain really don't see it as a medium platform. They have, how can I say this without basically boiling it down? A lot of people have claimed that Substack is catering or platforms far right ideology, Nazism, and stuff like that. So if you pay for a Substack or access, or you pay Substack membership to different creators that, and in fact, you are helping those ideologies. And I am not logged in. I am completely looking at this with like random, as a random user. And there is a crap ton of political content from the get go. And is this something that you really want to look into? I mean, for me, I'm tired of the political stuff right now because it's pretty much everywhere. I want to look for, let's find anything for Owncast, and not people. I want to look for posts, and of course, there's not going to be anything for that. So let's go for technology, entertainment technology. Okay. So this is what I was trying to get to. It's a long way to get to it, but anyways, your Substack page is essentially going to have the same look as many other Substack pages because there is very little theming. And don't get me wrong, but that's perfectly fine. A lot of people enjoy that. They don't want to they don't care about if it looks pretty or anything like that. So I don't want to give my email address, but I just want to take a look real quick. And you can say, oh, well, this looks like your site on the twotonewaffle.com. It's like, yeah, it's true. And you're perfectly right because my twotonewaffle.com site has this same layout, essentially. Pretty much my way of thinking is that you really, unless you custom code it or you purchase a actually you couldn't see it because it was sharing the wrong tab. My way of thinking is that if you're spending like $100 on a theme or having someone or custom code a custom theme for you, there really isn't that much difference between what your site on Substack could look like or on Ghost or on Medium. It is something that you have to, if you're serious in furthering your content creation as a journey as a business, that is something that you have to deal with and have to think about as you grow your little media empire, as it were. That's perfectly fine. Some people just want to do this as a hobby, and for me, I'm gearing this podcast and my little two-tone waffle metaverse and stuff like that, is I'm gearing it more into the business side of things. So I'm focusing on trying to maneuver certain items of like the website, the YouTube channel, PeerTube and stuff, and the content that I am producing in a way that helps others in a not a professional level, because this is not very professional. That's okay, because my content is geared more for the people who are up and coming or just starting out or have been doing this for a while and are looking for something different than YouTube or Twitch or anything like that, alternative platforms. So what I'm trying to say is that all in all, your decision on creating your brand for your business, you have to make these decisions on how your content, your clients, and your viewership perceives what you make or what you are wanting to present to the world. And really, by using certain platforms, you would have to take that into consideration. I know I should have pulled up the clip. There is a guy called Mike Elgin. He's been in the tech space for many decades. He actually gave a very passionate speech on why he creates his blog on Substack, and he understands what some people perceive Substack as. Like like I mentioned, that in his case, he hasn't seen any of that going on. And we can say that, we can argue that, well, just by using the internet, you are essentially platforming those ideologies as well. Well, are you going to stop using the internet and just, live in a shack in the middle of Montana in a forest somewhere and live off grid? So you kind of have to, weigh the pros and cons, really. Hopefully, with this complete random rambling episode, you might have got some kind of semblance of figuring out for yourself what is best for you. I'm just here to show you and to say, if you want to take your brand to the next level, create a domain, find a domain for your brand name, set up with your website. Because definitely that is what all the meat and potatoes, what I'm trying to say here is that if you create your website, create the content on your website, share that content out to, say, a Blue Sky or Twitter or Facebook or wherever else to lead back to your website, is a much better experience, probably for yourself, your content, and eventually your members or your viewers and people who are interested in what you have to say. You can also utilize Substack if you want to, let's say, have a newsletter. You can use Substack, you can use Medium, you can use Beehive, Ghost, Fourth Wall. There's many places that you can look into in creating, or Kit is another one, creating your newsletter if that's what you're interested in, to send out emails once a week or once a month or every quarter, whatever, and just get your information, your content out there. But it's important to have that domain, not just for a home for your content, but again for your emails. It's more professional to have your name at whatever.com instead of AOL.com or gmail.com. And I have to say, it was a story we have in my line of work. We deal with firms that deal with different things that we talk back and forth with emails. And one of the people who work at this particular firm gave us, as a professional email with @gmail.com. And I'm like, this person is part of a multi-million-dollar firm and they have a @gmail.com email address. I'm sitting there like, that is so unprofessional, really. To, you're working in this professional environment and you're giving someone a gmail.com. And I know some of you will probably say, well, what's wrong with that? It's just an email account. And I get it. But in certain aspects of corporate life, you want to not show that by using a Gmail account, that it gives the air of laziness and you really don't care about your work. You could have, Josh at nvidia.com or Josh at, riverside.com. I don't know. I'm just giving examples here, but with the company name as the domain gives so much more weight to your email, to your presence with other people in the industry, clients and viewers or whoever. So take that as like a little grain of salt, is that if as a creator, a content creator, especially independent creators, you're trying to run your own business, set up a domain so you can have an email address. You can have like Two-Tone Waffle, or I have joshb at twotonewaffle.com, or I also have it same at anycreatorhub.com. So I can use that email in a more of a professional setting instead of AOL, Gmail, Hotmail, or anything like that. So if you have any questions of what I rambled on tonight, do send me an email, or actually, if you're watching this on YouTube or PeerTube, leave a comment down below. I'll definitely check or try to answer as many as I can. And until next week, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do be sure to join our community. We're at twotonewaffle.forums. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Independent Creator Podcast. Until then, later, taters.